guys, so here we go. We're going to remove the head unit from our FG MK1 and MK2. Removal of the unit is exactly the same, it's identical. And today we're going to just remove the MK1 unit and convert it to our FG MK2, including all the ICC unit, the screen, and the top hat. The whole lot will be replaced, but we start with removing the unit, and I'll show you guys how to do it. There's 2 Phillips screws on top and 4 socket number 8 8mm bolts in the bottom. By removing this pocket first, so just grab it firmly and pull it towards yourself, and you'll see there's clips. There's 4 clips, 2 on this side and 2 in the bottom, that holds this tray. And once you remove this one, you will see 4 8mm screws here, the bolts, 1 on here, 2 on these 2 sides and 2 in the bottom right at the end. Your radio antenna plug is right here, so we can just push this latch locking, which is this little tiny one, push it in and pull down, it will come off. Then we'll just unscrew the 8mm bolts. So you've got 2 different size bolts here. The shorter ones goes to the bottom, to the end of the unit, and the longer one goes on the side. So please do not mistake them, otherwise you will get damaged screws. Now we're gonna just remove this top hat, and there's 2 Phillips screws under it. We need to undo it. So it's holding with these 2 clips, and these 2 little plastic bit goes underneath here, and those 2 clips hold it. So just remove it gently, and then you've got a couple of connectors here depending on what version of vehicle you're working on. Whatever clip you see, just remove them all. That's all you gotta do. So either 2 clip, 1 clip or 3 clips, depending on what version FG you're working on. And the screws that you need to undo is 1 here, 1 here. So we're gonna just undo those 2 screws, and the unit is ready to come off. That's basically it. So just grab 1 hand on top of the unit, 1 in the bottom, just wiggle it a little bit, and that's it. The whole unit will come off just like that. Alright guys, so we've got a FG MK1 today here that the customer has chose to convert it to an MK2. To convert the FG MK1 units into an FG MK2, you will need to purchase one of the FG MK2 units with the fascias and top hat of an FG2. So the FG2 unit, FG2 top hats and fascia, to convert the FG1 into an FG2. So what you will receive in a package, this customer has chose to go with a Linux version. The Linux versions are the one that's $8.95 on our website. You will receive 2 booklets with them. One is your user manual, which it shows you step by step what features and what function the unit has and how to set it up, step by step, all of it. And also you will receive a installation guide for this unit, although we have the video from on the YouTube as well. And on this video I'm going to just walk you guys through step by step of what goes where, but you will receive this very nice and easy step by step guides of what plug goes where and what screws goes where and how to do each one of them. So, all right, so and that's your digital radio antenna that will just stick on the windscreen. That's your Wi-Fi antenna. That's your radio antenna, adapter of the antenna. That's the factory USB antenna plug. If you have a factory USB in the car, you will need that. If you don't, you don't. That's a factory reversing camera adapter for the FG MK1. So if your vehicle is fitted with a factory camera, you can use this plug to activate your camera. That's your external microphone, which you will need it with the MK2 versions. That's your power harness, the main power harness, which your CAN bus will plug into this as well. So that's the CAN bus decoder, which will just plug into this. One side goes here, and the other side just plugs in here. That little one that you see, that's your CAN bus activation plug, which goes in here. So at the back of the Linux units, if you take a look at it, another one comes with the same color, male and female, they just go into each other. So that will activate your climate control panels, as well as your steering wheel buttons like volume up and down and stick forward and backward. That goes in here. Now we're just going to that's your main screen, the 8-inch screen that just gets mounted to this new fascia that we are going to supply. That fits there. And then obviously the piano black top hat will just fit right on top of it, which we're going to show you guys step by step on how it fits and how it looks in the car. Okay, so here's the unit, how to remove it. Just put it on the side. You've got 4 screws, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So undo the 4 screws, the side brackets will come off. Remember, MK1 and MK2 side brackets are different, and the bracket that you will receive in the package will be the bracket for the FG MK2, and you need to just slightly move it up and down till you find the correct spot for it to fit it. You've got 2 brackets on the 2 sides. Remove both of them. Same process, 4 screws on each. It comes off. Then you get 4 screws for the main ICC unit, so 2 on this side and 2 on the other side. Then we're going to just quickly undo it as well. Once you undo the screws, this thing will pop out. So you've got this connector, it's attached with this. So when you're removing this one, it will unplug it from this port. And that's what you need. So we do not need this one. We want it to be unplugged and removed. And the fascia, you put your thumbs here, both of them on the both sides, and push forward, like push it down. That should pop out easily on both sides. It will just pop out, and just gently remove it, and that's it. That's all we need. And these are all we do not need. We don't need these except these yellow clips that you need to remove it from here. These yellow clips need to be removed and goes back into that fascia, the new fascia that you got. So those little clips that we removed from the old fascia simply just plugs back into the new fascia. Just simple as that. And now the screen just goes here, gets mounted in the same screw spots. But one very important thing, gentlemen, is that when you're purchasing a new fascia for your conversion of FG1, FG2, comes with its own screws. Please do not use the other screws that you're removing it. Only use this one that comes with this fascia, because the other screws are slightly longer, and when you put the screws, it pops out on the other side. You will see a marking. So please only use the screws that comes with the fascia. Thank you. All right, so that's our screen. And these are the screws that we mentioned before, that you must use only the screws that comes with the fascia. Unit done. Put it there. Now bringing the main ICC unit to be installed. Alright guys, so that's our main new ICC unit that we're going to replace. We have already removed the other one. So the LCD cable just plugs in here, and we just bend it underneath here, right like that. Just bring it up and shoot, and will fit nice and neatly where it needs to be. And you're gonna just put the same four screws that you removed from the old unit. We're just gonna put it back here. Now that's the screen that we've put, obviously. Flip it around, connect your LCD screen, nice and neat. Then you'll see the little clips that has to be aligned and just plugs into where it needs to go, and it just clips and sits very nice and neatly. You can feel the clip, you hear the noise, and you can also see here very nice and neat fitment that just fits perfect. So the plugs, there's two main plugs, these ones, which goes right here. So it's audio and power right there. And then you've got this little plug that just goes right in here. Make sure the orange one always stays on the left hand side. So just plugs right inside here, but you gotta be careful a little bit with this one because it has very fragile pins on the board. We do not want to damage those fragile pins. And also make sure that we have enough strength to make sure they're all plugged in properly. Otherwise, your control panels for the AC and volume and stuff might not work properly. So just make sure you give it a good push to fit there properly. And that's about it. So that just goes at the back of the unit where the power plug is, and your RCAs, subwoofer out and in, and reversing camera in and out. So if you have a reversing camera, that's your reversing wire trigger, which will plug into reversing wire. Which, if you take a look at this one on the Linux ones, we'll undo all these. So you've got two USB ports, which you can run them into the glove box. If you have factory USB, one of them goes on top to connect to the factory USB. That's your external microphone plug. And you've got your front camera power out. And you've got your 5-volt external microphone power if you need one with the power. We don't need this parking one. You don't need front camera negative power. The CAN bus is already being connected, and that's your front camera video in dedicated one, which you don't need. In this installation we don't need it, but if you do, you can connect it. So that's your reversing camera that comes from the back of the car, and that one comes from the CAN bus side. So if you take a look at, one comes from the CAN bus side, one from the back of the unit. Just plug those two together. That should give you automatic reverse camera trigger. So when you put the car into reverse, it will automatically trigger it. And one that is just hanging out, that will connect to your actual camera to give power to the camera, so you don't need to get power from the reversing light of the vehicle. So this will give power to the camera. Thank you. Alright guys, so the side brackets, the little bracket that goes on top of the monitor, comes with the 3 screws. You just put the screws nice and neatly and just aim for the center of the gap. once we put the LCD brackets, then we can just put the side bracket, the main frames back on. We'll just aim for these two holes to align. So there's two holes here. It has to align with these two. We'll just align those two first and we'll put the screws. These two screws, now we have to align the top LCD bracket hole with the screws here. Just align it there and just put the bolt on. And that's the Wi-Fi antenna is the one that goes on the left. There's two connectors here. If we remove this little cap, there's two connectors here. The one on the left hand side towards the edge of the unit is for the Wi-Fi antenna, that this one goes into it, and the one on the right hand side is for your digital radio antenna, which is this one, that the main one will just plug into the windscreen and the wires will run and connect to this port right here, and the Wi-Fi will connect to the other one. It's your radio antenna adapter, which from the car side will come and plug into here, and that one will just go a little one here. That's your radio. Your microphone, which says on it mic, that will just plug into your external microphone, and the external microphone we will run it wherever you're happy with, but normally we'll just run it in the center where the little sunglasses holder is, in the center there. To just run it in the best spot possible to get the best result is to just put it in the center near your rear view mirror. It has a little clip, so you can just clip it on this little spot just like that and run the wire inside, not to be visible. There are a couple of clips that you can put on them so they do not hang out. Make sure you run it behind the airbag. If you have an airbag, active airbag on the side, which this car doesn't have it on the side airbag, so it's okay. But if you have, just make sure run the wires behind the airbag, just in case if some incident happen. The airbag wants to pop and your cable stops it, that's a problem. So make sure it goes behind the airbag, please. Tag it right inside here, and close it here, and then we'll just run the wires underneath here. It goes under the pedals, goes there, and then obviously just goes here at the back of the unit, or whatever car that you're working on, comes up here and then plug it at the back of the unit. install a DAB antenna. This is the part that will stick into the windscreen, but this part, if you can see, there's a little connector. We need to take off the paint of the chassis, so scrub it off, rub it off with a file or sandpaper, so that will just get a better earth, and then this will stick right here, and the wires will run through the sides, underneath, and back inside where the unit is. To just do a very nice measurement, make sure the top of this antenna where the connector is not to touch this edge. Bring it as close as you can, but do not touch it on top. And this part, you make a small little marking so we can sand off the paint. So now we know it's roughly at about here. So we're going to sand off this part of the paint, so we can just put this and we'll get a better earth. Let's undo the cable first. Wait a minute. So we've just sand off just a touch of paint away to make sure it gets just enough attachment contacts with the chassis. And we just remove that little plastic bar that's on it, the sticker, and we also remove this sticker. We just bring it as close as we can, attach it to that point where you need it, make it neatly, and here we go. Nicely done, and then the cable just goes right to the side. Just like that, and you put the side back there. That's how we're going to run the USB cables into the glove box. So that's it. And that's your digital radio antenna that we just run here, connected to the windscreen. And the cable comes inside and just goes right into this port. If you can just see it, there's two of them. One goes for the Wi-Fi, one goes for your DAB. And that's your reversing camera with its power, which the unit will give power to the reversing camera. That brown wire, if you chase it, it will give you that power. It says reverse on it. So we strip that. And we'll connect this and make sure we put soldering on it if you have access to it. If not, make sure you just tie it up very nice and neatly, not to leave any corner of it out, and put sufficient electric tape on it, not to pop out during the drive after a little while. Solder it, tape it off nice and neatly, and that's where the yellow plug just goes right on top here, the first one on top right. That's your reversing camera port. Will plug into that. And then you've got your microphone down here, which we have run it near the rear view mirror. The wire goes in the back and just comes here, and that will just connect into this one that says mic on it. So we'll just tap into that, and that's it. So now our unit is ready to be plugged in, but before we do so, we gotta be really gentle and careful with it, because some wires might be short, some might be long, so make sure it's all nice and neatly done. That plugs into there. Your radio antenna, which is this little adapter that we've plugged it before, comes here and goes in here. That's it, and we can put the unit in.